Wow, this is a lot of people. So nice to be back at Andrews. So it's a beautiful Monday afternoon, and our cat Leo, where's the picture? Our cat Leo is basking or lounging next to his cat tree, and he's just hanging out with the sunlight coming through the window. Now, I'm amazed at how relaxed this guy is, because it's barely been 24 hours since his tooth operation. You see, we took him to the vet because Leo has literally the worst breath in the entire planet. Like when he yawns, all life forms close to his mouth silently pass away. He's this furry, walking, toxic sanitizer, killing all the germs with his toxic licks. As a matter of fact, if the epidemiologists here in Lakeland were to find out about my cat Leo, they would have cured COVID-19 way before, okay? Now, we felt bad after the vet told us that pretty much all of his back teeth had to be removed because they had been decaying for weeks, for months. And that's why his mouth was stinking. And so I'm feeling bad about all of this. I'm feeling bad that this guy is smelling, and so I go to him to pick this guy up, okay? Now, most cats would maul at you at this point, but Leo's different. You know, his body flops as I lift him from the ground, and I place him on my left chest. I support his hind legs on my right hand, his front paws on my shoulders. We make eye contact. He begins to purr. The motor starts, the engine, you know. And at this point, I knew what was going to happen because this was the routine. I knew exactly what was going to happen. My cat Leo is going to lick my face. So somehow I knew that this time it's going to be a little different, right? Because we took him to the vet. And so we look at each other. His face moves a little closer. My face moves a little closer. His mouth is right there. I'm right there. And then he licks my left cheek, raspy sandpaper tongue. And guess what? No smell. Just pure, wet cat love. And as I cuddled with him a little longer and I maintained eye contact with him a little longer, I was just like, man, this is the longest I've held this guy, because again, this guy smelled so bad. And then I realized, man, I'm the worst cat dad in the entire world. The worst. See, the thing is, we avoid stinky things. And even more so, I think, if they are stinky people. And I wonder how many connections and interactions and conversations we've avoided because the other person stank. Maybe because of their literal smell, or maybe because of their stinky beliefs. Maybe because of their stinky attitudes, or their stinky worldviews, or stinky political views. So as a kind of a way of dealing with this sort of stinky pandemic, I decided to, in the beginning of 2020, create a TikTok account. Raise your hands if you have a TikTok. Maybe some of you, okay, there's like 5 of you, cool. I didn't want to at first. I didn't want to, but my students in my youth group, and as a pastor, youth and young adult pastor in San Diego, they're like, Pastor Kevin, you need to get on TikTok. It's cool. You get on it. And I was like, I don't want to shake my butt. Like, that's you guys. So you do your thing. I'm not about to do that. And so, and at the time I was on YouTube and I was doing some stuff there, so I didn't want another thing to get into. But I decided to get on it because I wanted to stalk my youth. I wanted to see what these guys are into, right? You see, as a Sri Lankan and a South Asian, I grew up drinking chai, okay? Chai. Now I'm talking about the real thing. I'm not talking about the abomination that is the chai tea lattes. Okay, I know. I'm gonna break so many hearts this morning. See, that's not what we drank. You see, when you drink real chai, it tastes like hope. It tastes like optimism, right? When you taste the chai tea lattes, or tea lattes, basically, but chai literally means tea. So you're saying tea lattes. That can be misunderstood, right? When you taste that, you know what it tastes like? It tastes like a relationship that you know is doomed, but you still keep going back to it because it's toxic and you're toxic, right? Like that's what, and you love the drama because you're a masochist like that. You want that, right? And every time you say the phrase chai tea latte, did you know that at some corner of the world, a brown grandma sheds a single tear? Happens. You don't hear about it because they don't have TikTok, right? And some of you are like, oh my gosh, no, that's my drink. I love the chai tea lattes. If that's you, then invite you to DM me at Cross Culture Christian, and I will, as Pastor Kevin, will pray for the resurrection, not only for the resurrection of your souls and your lives, but also for the resurrections of your taste buds because they're dead. They're dead. They're gone, okay? I don't know what you guys have been tasting thus far, right? So going back to TikTok, one day I decided to document my chai making process and post it on TikTok. That thing went viral. People start to ask questions. Yo, is this how you make it? I want to make it. I love this stuff. I love the Starbucks stuff. I'm like, nah, this is it. This is how you make the real thing. And over time, 2 years later, and after about hundreds of TikToks, I now nurture a tribe of about 400,000 chai-loving humans across TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, teaching them how to make authentic chai, homemade chai, and use it as a meaningful practice in their lives. I started to share stories from my life and stories from the South Asian experience and stories about Christianity, decolonizing Christianity, all these things through the vehicle of chai. And as I was doing that, I realized that a significant portion of my tribe, I've realized, were non-Christian. Non-Christian. In fact, some of them even might consider themselves anti-Christian or anti-religious or anti-faith. And most of them would be considered stinky by some other people, even right now, because of some of the stuff that they would post and some of the things that they would say. But I'm so glad that most of them decided to stick around in this community. And I think part of why it felt natural to have this eclectic community is because of my multicultural background. I was born in Sri Lanka, lived there till I was 12 years old, and then I moved to the Middle East and lived there till I was 18. I'm what they call a third culture kid, and there's a lot of you guys here. When I say the word TCK, third culture kid, you know what I'm talking about. These are kids who have spent significant parts of their life in growing up in different parts of the world. And I came to Andrews as a freshman in 2009 with all my belongings in 2 suitcases and a backpack. That's me, 2009. I graduated with my bachelor's in theology in 2014, and then my MDiv in 2017. And in the last 32 years, it's been crazy. We've been visited or lived in more than about maybe 11 or 12 countries. And you see that girl in the black top in the previous picture? Her name is Aline. I met her on the first Thursday of freshman orientation week in 2009. She's Cuban, Chilean, American, with the body of Beyonce and a mind of Ellen White, right? And on July 9th, 2017, she fortunately had mild amnesia when she decided to say the 2 words, I do. We got married, okay? We got married. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. See that drip? Yeah, it's crazy. That's not TT latte, that's chai, right? That's where that comes from. And then 13 years later, here I am with same campus, different people, same ID, different position. Different position. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that I still have my ID from undergrad. It's crazy. Now at various points in this whole journey, in the social media, pastoral, influencer journey, many people ask me, hey, Kevin, you need to change your handle, bro. Cross-cultural Christian? You should be like chai guy. As a matter of fact, that's why everybody calls me. Chai guy, this and that. You should change it, completely change it. Change the whole branding. Chai guy. Or my personal favorite, Chaisis. Yeah, because... But I didn't want to change it. I didn't want to change it, guys. Because while Chai Guy was a brand, Cross Culture Christian defined my being. Okay? Cross-culture Christian defined my being. And while chai is something that I did, cross-culture Christian is who I am. To put it another way, if cross-culture Christian was kind of this operating system, then chai or chai guy, whatever it is just one app in the operating system. Chai is simply the vehicle that I employ to creatively live out the calling that God has placed in my life. Now, because a lot of people have asked me, why cross-culture Christian? Why cross-culture Christian? I was kind of forced to sit down one day and then just like over the course of a couple of days and weeks just to flesh out what this means to me. And so I'm going to share something with you that I've never shared with anybody before. This is kind of like my personal manifesto for what cross-culture Christian means. So it should be on the screen here. The cross-culture Christian believes that cultural differences are artifacts of divine creation. And refusing to learn from other cultures can actually sabotage their capacity for love and their ability to love. The cross-culture Christian believes that love or other-centered goodwill is the organizing principle of reality. The collective flourishing of our lives depends on the careful cultivation of our loves. The cross-culture Christian believes that no one can be an expert on someone else's story. Therefore, empathy is the primary mode of their being. Empathy is not endorsement. Empathy means choosing to step into someone else's shoes in order to understand and journey with them, especially in the context of difference. And the cross-culture Christian believes that the way of Jesus is a life operating system that leads to a life that is historically verifiable, philosophically coherent, cosmologically hopeful, intellectually curious, spiritually holistic, emotionally healthy, relationally just, and radically other-oriented. And because of that, the cross-culture Christian believes that all humans are made in the image of God, which means that there's no room for anything that reduces the dignity of all people, including but not limited to racism, sexism, imperialism, colonialism, colorism, homophobia, xenophobia, and or any other forms of bigotry. Now, at this point, a lot of people will be like, hey, okay, well, that's cool. It sounds nice. But what does this mean to me? How do I find my calling? How do I find my niche? Or how do I find my identity in the specific life situations and circumstances that I find myself in right now? So I'm going to share with you 3 questions. Just 3 questions, and we're going to go after this. 3 questions that I have had to pursue in order to continue to find clarity for my own calling. Not answers, but questions. The questions that you can struggle with and you should, and maybe you could. Question number 1 is this. Who are you? Who are you? Like, who are you really? Like, what makes you you? What makes you tick? What's your story? What are your strengths, your limits, aspirations, your goals, your dreams? When did you laugh? When did you cry? Why did you laugh? Why did you cry? Who are you really? Because when you choose to function from your story, you eliminate all competition. Because no one can compete with you on being you. So that's question number 1. Who are you? Like, really, who are you? And that's going to be a lifelong process. Second question is, whose are you? Whose are you? Who do you belong to? What is your tribe? Where do you direct your worship? Because it's not a matter of if we worship, it's always a matter of what we worship. And we all have our own pantheon of gods. They could be literal gods or leaders that you look up to, or the God of pleasure, the God of career success, or the God of academic success, God of image management, or Jesus plus the other gods. You are not an island, and you're always worshiping. And it's hard to notice an idol until you can notice your gods. And the daily battle you and I have to face is to let our work be the fruit of our life rather than the root of our life. Be the fruit of our life rather than the root of our life. Because, listen to this, if you are a follower of Jesus, your identity is not determined by your activity. Your identity is not determined by the things you do. It's determined by the one who created you and fashioned you. Who are you? Whose are you? And the last question, what is your art? What is your art? In other words, what are the things that you can do in only the way you can do? What do you create that only you can create in the way that only you can create? How do you express what is meaningful to you? Whether through words or through content or whatever it is, through art, whatever it is. In what areas of your life are you like the only player? Like no one plays the game like you do. What is that thing? That is your art. And this is going to take time. As jazz legend Miles Davis said, it took me years to learn how to play like myself. It took me years to learn how to play like myself. But the more you imitate others, the people that you look up to, and the more you put reps in and imitate, iterate, and then innovate, there's going to come a time where you're like, you know what? Maybe this is a groove. Maybe this is a place where I get that the work that I do feels like play to me. It's going to take some time. And when you find it, when you find your art, you will know. In fact, other people will let you know. They're like, yeah, I see you. That's your thing. It's another Sunday afternoon, and I'm checking my DMs on Instagram. Are you Adventist? Question mark, all caps. Not a friend, it came on my request. I said, yeah, I am. He said, I am shocked. Okay, get in line, right? I said, why? He said, I heard about you from this place. And I thought maybe TikTok, something came out on her FYP or whatever. No, she's like, I learned about you from a podcast. And that got me curious because I couldn't remember being on a podcast or interviewed in the last few weeks. And I said, okay, well, shoot me the link. Sent me the link. And she said, like, before you click on that link, I'm going to warn you, you're a pastor, and you're not going to want to listen to this. Now I'm really curious. Well, like, what the heck type of podcast is this, bro? Like, so fine, I said, okay. And they said, if you're uncomfortable with what you're listening, switch to this timestamp and start listening from there. I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to do that. Right? I'm going to listen to the whole thing. Go there, Spotify, pull it up. And I knew exactly why she was shocked. Because this is a podcast on witchcraft, the occult. And it's produced by Corey and Detta, who identify as modern-day witches, who see witchcraft as a meaningful practice for those who choose to adopt it. Wow. How does a Seventh-day Adventist pastor end up in a podcast on witchcraft? It could, I was like, I don't know. And I'm nervous. And I listened to a little bit in the beginning. And I was like, wow, this is intense. Like every episode, there's like 3 seasons of it. And every episode was going deeper into a practice. It was fascinating. Like there was so many things that were like, whoa, this is cool, right? But there was also like, whoa, there was a certain discomfort, right? But then I jumped to the timestamp that she mentioned. And I started listening from there. And I really hope we can actually play that clip. Let's see.
The other spark I have is a person that I actually found on TikTok, and he got very, very famous, and he blew up everywhere, and he's amazing, and you should probably follow him on Instagram. His name is Kevin Wilson, and he is under the handle Cross Culture Christian, but he got famous on TikTok for making chai.
Ooh.
And you mentioned chai, and he uses chai as an allegory for all the things, for love, for forgiveness, for growth, for patience. He does the most amazing work taking this incredible drink that he makes a ritual out of, because you should. Chai invites you to make it a ritual. That's part of what makes it so delicious. And I think that he's incredible, and he's just like a really kind, amazing soul that you should probably just know. Anyway, Kevin Wilson, Cross Culture Christian, I love you. Your work is amazing. You're doing great things.
That was a witch. Like a whole witch, like that's her vibe. Like that's what she goes by, right? Like in a link, like a bio, that's what it is. So naturally I was like, I sent a DM back. Can we talk? And then she responded back to me. It's like, oh my gosh, it's you, all caps. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's me. I would love to get on a Zoom call. Can we chat? And then she got her friend Detta, and we were in front of each other. We on the Zoom. I can't share with you a whole bunch of stuff that was talked about, but they grew up in church. Not Adventist, but they grew up. They did the whole thing. They did Sabbath school. They did Sunday school for them. They did the camps. They went to all of the programs. And at some point, there was some crazy stuff that happened at church. And they were otherized, they were ostracized, they were marginalized by the people that they thought was supposed to be following Jesus. They left the church, and they found meaning in witchcraft. But towards the end of their conversation, they started talking about Jesus. And for them, Jesus was this amazing guy who did some really, really amazing work. And they still try to connect with Jesus somehow, even through their practice of witchcraft. I was inspired by their willingness to see me not as a them, but in some ways a part of, in a weird way, an us. And we're friends now. We're friends. Going back to Leo, my cat, we felt awful when we found out that the reason that he stunk so bad was because of his decaying teeth. But I wonder, I don't think he knew he stunk. But I wonder how many of us, we don't like stinky people, but we don't realize when we stink to somebody else because of something that we said, something that we did. And that's maybe why Paul recognizes this tendency for even followers of Jesus to misrepresent him. And so he says in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, for we are the aroma of Christ to everyone we meet. We are the aroma of Christ. So AU, as we move towards this school year, as we move toward a post-pandemic world, I believe the world needs more reconcilers, bridge builders, distance reducers, empathy experts, comfort providers, anxiety reducers, peacemakers, joy givers, sacrificial lovers, kindness experts, humble humans. And as you wrestle with who you are, what your art is, and most importantly, whose you are. So Jesus, I pray that you sensitize our hearts and our minds to the frequency of your voice. In Jesus' name we all say, amen.
Putting up the text number, text in any question that you have. We will probably have time to answer one of them. And I can't tell if this question that came in earlier was for you or for me, but everybody wants to know, what's the conditioner you use in your beard?
So there was a time where all I used for my beard and my hair was straight up hand lotion. And I got to know that idea from somebody actually here in chapel right now, and I don't want to out them right now. Maybe we should, but yeah. It's like this the thickest lotion that you can find, just put it everywhere, right? But now I do, nothing. I don't put anything in my beard, but I do Shea Moisture for my hair.
Yeah.
Love that.
Shea Moisture.
Shea Moisture.
All right, write that down.
It's the truth. It is the truth.
I also want to thank you that you went on TikTok and talked about chai and didn't dance a lot. There's a couple in there. But real quick, here's this question. There's a few more coming in. Cross-culture Christian and chai guy. How do you maintain authenticity between who you are, your operating system, and the vehicle in which you're communicating into the world? How do you navigate that tension and keep yourself real, right? Keep yourself real, but also be effective in living out that purpose through the vehicle of chai?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've in the last couple of years, I've gone on this journey where God has reminded me that my story is, with all its ups and downs, is not a liability but an asset. that everything that has happened in my life up until this point somehow can be reused, repurposed by the Holy Spirit. And so the times where I struggle with maintaining that balance comes when I don't actually own my story, so own the work that God has been doing in my life. And so, but it's hard. It is hard when you go online, when you hear some messages and it's like hate and the trolls come in. What do? You know? So in the end of the day, I tell myself a couple of things. Number one, I tell myself they don't know my story, right? And just because I chose to post something does not mean that I'm posting all of my story into that one post. It's just one aspect of it, so which helps me distance myself from everything else. And also to keep in mind that there's you always have to have a group of people, a few group of people that always will love you and accept you and cherish you and keep you accountable no matter what. And you need that space for you to be absolutely real with. If you don't have that space, you're doomed. And so I'm so thankful for the few people that I can count from both my hands that can help me keep me accountable in this journey.
Oh, I love that. I think that's a really sound wisdom, is building that group of people around you who are going to keep you honest, keep you going forward, going to support you and encourage you. And I hope, guys, while you're here at Andrews, that you find those group of people that you would identify as being strength, encouragers, not just the glow-ups, but in those difficult moments in life will keep you honest as you grow.